Hello guys and welcome back to another skill point guide video for Total War Warhammer 3 on Immortal Empires. Today we'll be covering Drazhoath the Ashen, and we got quite a bit to talk about, so I'm just going to kind of jump right on in. Drazhoath is a pretty powerful spellcaster. He's got a flying mount with Cinder Breath. He can also get barrier with the Ashen ability, so I really like to focus on his magic line and special skill line first. But I do first like to grab Root Marcher, kind of like always. I do like to put 2 points into Burning Wrath. It's a pretty good spell, actually, in my opinion. As long as you cast it once you're already like right by a unit, or a unit that's not going to move out of its way. So if it's engaged with some of your other troops on the battlefield, it's really good to use because its damage actually comes from the vortices the animation from the vortices rather. And so if you cast it while the enemy is moving like towards your forces, it's very easy that it's just going to dodge it, so you're just going to waste those winds of magic. So you just want to wait until a enemy unit is just not moving, and then you'll get your use out of it then. But Killing Fire and Ash Storm, obviously Ash Storm is what kind of makes the Chaos Dwarf roster, or Magic, the Lore of Hashut rather, very powerful, just because you can increase the weakness to fire damage. I like Dark Subjugation over Curse of Hashut, just because the Curse of Hashut, for the Winds of Magic cost and for the damage and the amount of time that it's applying that damage, is just not worth the Winds of Magic, so I don't really ever use the Curse of Hashut in my campaigns. But going down the rest of his magic line, I do like to grab the Flames of Asgore first over Hellhammer. The Flames of Asgore is just a very high damage dealing spell. And then Magical Reserves just for some extra Winds of Magic, and then Arcane Conduit. Now, while you're going through this, usually after I get the Flames of Asgore and Hellhammer, I do like to come up to a special skill line and just get everything, because everything in here is really good, and I'll go over it here individually. The Long Years of Exile is really good just because it's going to make the Winds of Magic cost for the Flames of Asgore super cheap, so you're just going to be able to cast the Flames of Asgore for minimal winds of magic rather. In your campaigns. Ashen is good, just more hit points and barrier, very useful on the battle map. The Master of Hell I really like. I usually end up getting Kadai units within Drazhoath's army. Granted, I've only played as him once, but I really like the Kadai units, especially once you start getting some of the Hellforge upgrades that you can get for the Kadai units. It makes them very, very powerful. Also, decreasing the armament costs required to increase the capacity for the units is very useful as well. The Greed of Asgore, I do like it more than other abilities that other legendary lords may have, because it's actually a faction-wide buff, as you can see there, instead of like a local province or local region buff. So I do like to grab the Greed of Asgore there as well, because that'll pay dividends in the later parts of your campaign when you're just cranking out loads of raw materials. That extra 10% will help a little bit there. The We Are a Legion. Granted, I haven't used Infernal Guard or Infernal Ironsworn in his army yet because I've only played as him once, but I do like to grab it just because of the armament cost reduction by 25% that he can provide, because it's rather expensive. If we go and check it out, it's rather expensive to increase the capacity of the Infernal Ironsworn. Even the first time they're 162, 227 for the Infernal Ironsworn. So being able to reduce that by 25% will help out definitely down in the later stages of the campaign. Now at this point, kind of depends up to you what you want to go down with. In terms of skills, you can go down his melee line a little bit, red line if you want to buff his army, or if you just want to grab some blue skills. I personally like to grab his blue line a little bit, just to grab some extra labor post-battle, and then cunning, just so I can get to the Iron Will in case he ends up taking some damage. That way he's got a pretty insane replenishment rate over the end turn there. But then after that, I actually like to go down and get Expeditious Endeavors, just so to increase his speed. That way he's moving around the battle map a little faster on Cinder Breath there. But then instead of going down the rest of his melee line, I do like to go down his red line a little bit. I do like to grab Hellish Blows because, again, more likely than not, I am going to end up using Kadai units. So providing more melee attack and weapon strength for them is really good. And then I actually end up grabbing Firing Drills because I'll probably have more Blunderbuss or Fire Glaives or Hobgoblin units in my army. I'll just have more of those units in my army other than artillery, even though you could, depending on how you go about your army, you could do artillery there as well. But then go down the rest of his red line. I like to grab the Wretched Warhost again, just providing more weapon strength, charge bonus, and physical resistance for your good die units. And then grabbing standard die just for a augment ability for melee defense and leadership for Draz and units in that surrounding area. But in terms of remaining points, I do like to grab Mentor still again, and then grabbing him some missile resistance because he is on a mount. Even though we have barrier, that way we reduce the amount of damage that we'll take before we end up losing our barrier. And then it kind of just depends the last few points here what you want to end up doing. Now, being on a mount, he's going to be a bigger target, so when he does get into melee, the more entities are going to be able to attack him. So I do like to go down his melee line a little bit, making him hit a little harder, but more importantly, grabbing that melee defense, and then also grabbing Woundmaker and then Deadly Onslaught, just in case he does have to fight a single entity or a good amount of infantry. That way you can just, you know, do a little more damage there. Plus, those are pretty good stats to begin with, and we haven't even gotten, obviously, in this campaign, any of his other abilities, or some of his other items that give him more melee attack, ward save, that kind of thing, and some of his passive abilities as well that make him a more powerful spellcaster and melee lord as well. But that is how I level up Draz. Let me know down in the comments how you guys level him up. If you guys end up just ignoring his melee line, for example, go down more of his blue line or what have you, definitely let me know. I'm, again, always kind of curious to see how you guys decide to level up a legendary lord compared to me. But don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys are enjoying the content. It does greatly help me out quite a bit. And until the next video or live stream on the channel, I hope you guys have a good one. And until then, I will see you guys later on.